bad habits that Lightroom users have, and more importantly, how to break them or how to get around them, or at least call them out so you know it's a bad habit. Number one, the biggest bad habit for Lightroom Classic users, doing stuff outside of Lightroom. You do need to move files from time to time to a different drive. You may want to rename things. Do it all in Lightroom. I got this image called APC 417 HDR. I could say library, rename photos, cloudy day number 2, and click OK, and it will name it 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Click on this one photo that I called number 2, and I were to go and find it in the operating system. It is definitely renamed in the operating system. There's number 2, there's number 3. Go to the folder in the library and show it to me in Lightroom. Take this cloudy day number 1 and drag it to a different drive. In the operating system, number 1 isn't here anymore because we moved it to a different drive. Bad habit number 2, not using collections. File-specific operations, do those in the folder. Everything else, do in a collection. This folder is where these images physically live. If I wanted to make a new collection called Spring 2022, and I want these 3 photos to be in it, then I can go to my collections, I can click create a collection, I can call that collection whatever I want, I can put it inside of a collection set, and I can include the selected photos. I can even sync them to the cloud if I want. Let's go ahead and create that. The 3 photos are in this collection. They're still in the folder. If I put them in a collection, it's easier for me to organize, and better yet, I can get photos now from other folders or collections for that matter and put them in here as well. Stop using folders for organization. Bad habit number 3 is trying to use the Lightroom spot healing tool or spot removal tool when you should be using the Photoshop one. I could go to my spot healing tool and it's gonna pick the gray off the car, and that's not really the same gray, and I don't have enough room to do it here, and so I end up using that gray, and it works out okay. In Photoshop, there's actually a spot healing brush that's a million times better than this, because this tool was originally invented for removing sensor dust or spots in an image, not retouching. Next one, make sure that Photoshop is in the same Pro RGB color space if you want the colors to look the same while you're editing. In Lightroom, it's under the hood Pro Photo RGB. So when you take things over to Photoshop to work on, the color could look different. Change the color space to match. I could go to convert to color profile, and it already is in Pro Photo RGB. But if it weren't, make sure you put Photoshop in the same color space. You need to save the image, I should say that. You don't have to close it. Next bad habit, output sharpening. I can export this several different ways, but let's go to regular old export. You're concerned about the format and the quality, so I want the quality to be higher, I want it to be sRGB. You lose a little sharpening in each one of those steps. You lose something in capture sharpening, you lose something in export sharpening, because you're basically converting the image each time. That's why, by default, when you bring in raw files, Lightroom sharpens them. However, export does not do that by default. When you output your images, whether you're going to print them or whether you're going to use output sharpening here, it's really important, if you want them to look as good as they possibly can, is to do output sharpening as well. Hopefully that these bad habits are not something that you will continue to do if you were doing them and maybe you just didn't know any better, but now you do. And hopefully you learned something from today. Bye, everybody.